Hello, everyone. Welcome to the City Council Nominations and Appointments Committee for Monday, August 5th. Today we have one reappointment interview, and that is Ann Sellers. And since it's a reappointment, you're familiar with the process of us as counselors asking you a series of questions just to make sure you're familiar with the board and ask how things are going on the board and updates of that sort for the public. So I guess I'll start. My first question is what does the EAC do well?
What's your question? I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing.
What has the environmental advisory council done well since you've been on the board?
What has it done well?
Yeah.
Well, a very slow moving mapping of green infrastructure. It seems to be like coming to fruition now. We had someone named Scott Case that was a wonderful facilitator that was on the board at one point, and we prioritized areas of concern and complete street initiatives and so forth. So I think that was a really big win, having him on the board and prioritizing concerns about the environment as it pertains to like how we should focus on electric vehicles and mitigation of greenhouse effects as it pertains to city facilities. And my strength is green infrastructure, so that seems to be moving forward. So yeah.
That's great. And then my last question is, have you been regularly attending meetings, and do the meeting times still work for you?
Yeah, they work, especially since it's Zoom. I can jump on, so that works at noon on every other, like once a month on Tuesdays. The in-person meetings are harder for me to get to at this point because I'm pretty busy, but the Zoom meetings seem to work out okay.
Okay, great. Thank you. Now, Councilor Campos will ask you questions.
Thank you, Anne, for applying for the reappointment. I see you are very experienced and we appreciate your dedication to the council. My question is, are there any issues that the city could assist with?
Issues that the city can assist with as far as environmental concerns or the EAC?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so I think the city's done quite a bit. They're giving us some funding, which is much more than it used to be, for implementing our initiatives and hiring people. Since we're all volunteers and we're all fairly busy, it's been really beneficial having people assigned to tasks that we don't really have time to do, which I think is why the green infrastructure mapping initiative is moving forward, because we had people on board to do the design work for logos and so on. And we had the money to do it. So Reading has been great about giving us funding to meet our goals. And also, how can you facilitate? Well, this is kind of my soapbox, since I'm a landscape architect, and complete streets are near and dear to me as far as environmental concerns, because of both the social and economic benefits of complete streets in addition to the environmental impacts, and rolling in complete streets initiatives into the RFPs that engineers get, so it gets implemented in practice. So if they're required to focus on complete streets when they're doing designs of roadways and so forth, then it's much easier to get implemented if it's rolled into an RFP. When an engineering firm is initially doing the design. So Reading would be like, it'd be great if that was a requirement of an RFP, and not just if you can do it. Like, we would love it if you did it. It would be nice if it was a requirement of the RFP. So from my soapbox, that would be a great way for Reading to help. And then, as far as, you know, the rules and regulations, streamlining issues where, for codes and so forth. So it's easier to renovate old buildings and keep those structures intact, without having to worry about parking. So some sort of green initiative where you're putting on a green roof to compensate for, you know, possibly less parking, you know, getting those sorts of initiatives in place where it's more of a carrot than a stick, and buildings get renovated in the city. And therefore that's like, in my mind, that's green as well, when you're not demolishing and building new, but renovating old.
Thank you for your feedback and suggestion, man. I think that's all the questions I have.
Yeah, that's all the questions we have, and thank you for re-interviewing with us. Shelley will get with you if we decide to reappoint you. I'm sorry, submit your reappointment to the full body council for us to decide at our next regular meeting. And you'll find out from there if council decides to vote to reappoint you or not.
Okay, great.
All right, you have a great day.
Okay, you too. Thanks.
Thank you, Anne.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, now we gotta discuss it. I would love to submit her name. I think she has a great background being a landscape architect and has experience on there. And I thought she showed she has knowledge about the council she's on.
I agree as well. She showed she's knowledgeable and interested in continuing to contribute her experience with the council.
All right, so I guess.
The only other update I have is on the pending applications. I have two that I am hoping to get started on their background checks this week for the Fire Civil Service Board, which is one that we talked about not long ago. But we now have two gentlemen specifically interested in the Fire Civil Service Board. So hopefully we'll have them through shortly. I also wanted to let you know that the next regularly scheduled nominations meeting in August, I'm on vacation. So we're gonna skip that one. The next one would then be Tuesday, September 3rd, because of Labor Day. So it'll be Tuesday instead of Monday, but I'll make all of those arrangements when I get
Okay, thank you for
Sounds
that,
good.
Shelley. I did wanna clarify what she was talking about, the requirement for an RFP, the complete straight. I was a bit lost there. What is that? Is that in general or is that just for the council?
So that's in general. Complete Streets is a more dated name for some of the things that you're working on now. It's traffic calming and bike lanes and EV stations and making sure that our pedestrians have access to walkways and crossing the street safely rather than having to dart across, 6 lanes of quickly moving traffic.
So that's what we call complete
So
streets.
that's what she refers to as complete streets.
Oh,
So there had been an executive order under the Spencer administration to start working on that here in Reading. It never was codified, and so it's not in the RFP process, as she was saying. So what that means is if we are looking to repave Hancock Boulevard, if that were codified, then all of those requests would be in the RFP specs. So when we got the bid, it would include bike lanes and curb cuts and crosswalks and some of those other things, rather than now, we don't do that, and we rely on the contractor saying, this is wide enough, you should do these things. And so it's kind of optional now.
What, if it was codified, would it be an additional expense to include all these things in these projects?
In the short term, probably.
Is that a reason why it wasn't codified, or was it just a switch in administration?
It was a switch in administration. They did it through executive order rather than coming to council to do it that way. So it will be something you'd have to talk about with Kyle. Because Public Works would be overseeing all of those kinds of projects.
But it sounds beneficial to make sure these are included, but I'm sure it's not as easy as I'm thinking. There must be more to that than what I understand. But you would want to have all these things considered if you're going to. And it's interesting she brought it up as a, as a member of that council.
Yeah,
This
it
is
can be
important.
difficult to retrofit the city in those kind of ways, though, if you want to still have, pick a random North 10th Street. If you still want 2 lanes of traffic with 2 lanes of parking, you don't necessarily have space for bikes. And then you have to kind of choose, do you want single lane vehicle traffic to accommodate the bike lane? Or do you get rid of
But are you
cars
saying
parking?
bike lanes would be mandatory? Because we can't have bike lanes all over, it would have to be like designated.
Right, so you'd
areas.
have to kind of choose, where you want them. There are some now, but they're not necessarily connected to each other. So you can
No,
get so far on the bike lane and then you're back into vehicular traffic or up on the sidewalk again, so.
I know public comment was made once about no bike lanes in the city. I'm like, no, that's not true. Yeah, I mean, my district has one and it's pretty long and spacious, and then you take it from there, but it was an incorrect statement that I kind of like, I don't think so. We do have bike lanes.
Yes, we do, they're just not everywhere for some people. would
Yeah,
like
they
them
were
to be.
like, no, we have 0, what's going on with the city? And I'm like, wait a minute. I should have said something. I'm like, I let them vent, I guess, but we do, I know in the riverfront area, there's a bike lane, and it's very spacious and calm in that area, so.
Kenhurst Boulevard has a nice bike lane as
Yes,
well,
they
so
do.
it just kind of depends on, like I said, how wide
Mhm.
the road is. If
Right.
it can accommodate, all of things that you want to happen. on
And how
this.
accessible is it to those that want to, like maybe you don't have bike lanes in your areas, but the city has in other areas, so you gotta find them. That's all I had, I just wanted to, she was mentioning something important, I'm like, what is that? And it's good to know, cause I'm always learning from cause they've been here a long time, and they mentioned things that I think would be helpful for me and council to keep in mind.
Something to bring up, when the budget comes up.
About that, right?
Alright, anything else from anybody? Good, I don't know if I could say it,
I
Jen.
know, maybe there, I think, so move or something, I keep forgetting what to say, you got it.
But I was-
So I was like,